Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to really tear apart your source material and hopefully build you a clear path understanding. Today, we're strapping in because we're looking at what might just be, well, a massive shift in digital audio. Maybe the biggest, since we went from mono to stereo. Seriously. Our mission today, Eclipsa Audio. We need to figure out what this new spatial format actually is. Why giants like Google and Samsung teamed up on it. And, the crucial part, how its process being open source, royalty-free, how that's set to maybe shake up a market that's pretty dominated by lockdown systems.
Right. And when we say Eclipsa, we're really talking about immersive sound, 3D audio. If you're used to headphones or, regular speakers, sounds generally left and right, maybe center.
Yeah, the standard.
Immersive audio just throws that out. It tries to place sounds like objects in a real three-dimensional space. So all around you, above you, even below you sometimes.
That's the whole wow factor, isn't it? That feeling of being right in the sound, like hearing a helicopter actually fly overhead.
Exactly. Total immersion. That's the goal.
But the story here, I think, is the strategy behind Eclipsa. Because this format, backed by Google and Samsung, it's not just tech.
No, not at all.
It feels like a business model wrapped up in a technical standard. And the headline is, it's open source and royalty-free. That's the big one. Hashtag dive tag and engineering a revolution.
Yeah, and to really get Eclipsa, you kind of have to look under the hood at the tech first. So Eclipsa, that's the brand name they're putting out there for consumers. The actual technology standard is called IAMF, stands for Immersive Audio Model and Formats, and it's open source.
IAMF, okay.
Now, the idea of spatial audio placing sound in space, that's been around for ages, decades really, over 50 years in some forms.
Wow, okay.
But IAMF, this modern standard, it's been developed more recently, since about 2019, maybe 2020. And it happened within the Alliance for Open Media, the AOM.
The AOM,
Yeah.
right. They handle things like the AV1 video codec too, don't they? Open standards.
Exactly. It's a consortium. Big tech players trying to agree on standards that aren't locked down by one company. Google and Samsung were definitely key players in developing IMF there, along with others like xiff.org, who do a lot of open media work.
Okay, so this wasn't cooked up in secret by just one company. It was more like a collaborative push to build something everyone could potentially use.
That's the idea behind AOM, yeah.
But then taking that technical spec, IAMF, and launching it as Eclipsa Audio, that feels like a very deliberate, strategic branding move, especially the Google and Samsung partnership aspect. That sounds serious.
Oh, it absolutely signals a major commitment, a high-stakes play. And you can see that commitment in the timeline your sources lay out. It was pretty rapid fire.
Okay, walk us through that.
So Samsung makes the big joint announcement January 3rd, 2025, right before CES, the big tech show.
Smart time.
Very. Then at CES 2025, boom, they're showing it off, running on their new 2025 soundbars, making it tangible, not just an idea.
Right, showing it works.
Then Google follows up fast. January 15th, 2025, they put out a blog post with all the technical nitty-gritty, the deep dive stuff.
So a coordinated 1-2 punch, announce, demo, explain, all within like 2 weeks.
Exactly. They wanted to establish Eclipsa as an immediate reality and not some future concept.
And they're building out a whole ecosystem too, it sounds like. Your sources mentioned ARM is involved
Right.
for performance optimization.
Yeah, that's significant. Bringing ARM in means they're really focused on making this run efficiently, especially on, mobile chips, embedded systems, things where power consumption matters a lot.
Which points towards phones, tablets, the mass market devices.
Precisely. And there's another piece ensuring quality, the Telecommunications Technology Association, the TTA.
TTA, what's their role?
They're kind of like the referee or the certification body here. Your sources say there's a certification program planned for 2025. The goal is to make sure any device, any brand that puts the Eclipsa logo on it actually delivers a consistent, high-quality spatial audio experience.
So building trust. Making sure Eclipsa means something reliable, no matter who makes the TV or soundbar.
Exactly. Crucial for competing in a market where there's already an established player. Hashtag tag the core differentiator, royalty-free revolution.
Okay, so we've got the what and the who. Let's dig into the why, the business model. Why is this open source and royalty-free thing the absolute core takeaway here? Why should you, listening right now, really care about that?
Because it flips the script on how audio tech usually gets rolled out. Think about it like this. Proprietary formats, the main competitor Eclipsa is up against, they often work like a toll road.
Yeah.
If you're a manufacturer making a TV, you want to include their decoder. You pay a license fee. If you're a creator mixing your movie or music, you might pay royalties or fees for the tools. There's a cost to play.
Right, a barrier to entry, essentially.
Yes, Eclipsa comes along and says, forget the tolls. They're basically building this massive public highway. Anyone can use it for free.
Zero license fees for the companies putting it in phones or soundbars.
Zero.
And zero fees for creators making the content.
Zero. That's the promise. And that it democratizes this high-end immersive audio potentially overnight. Suddenly, it's not just for premium devices or big studios.
An economic angle, that flexibility, it must give Eclipsa a huge edge in certain areas, right? Your sources seem to suggest it's really built for things like mobile phones, the web.
Absolutely. That's where the lack of fees becomes a massive strategic advantage. Think about the sheer volume of smartphones out there, or web browsers.
Billions of devices.
Billions. If you don't have to pay a per-device fee, suddenly integrating Eclipsa becomes a much easier decision for manufacturers, especially for lower-cost devices. And for web platforms like, say, Chrome, making it a native feature without ongoing costs. That's huge.
Okay, but let me push back a bit. Play devil's advocate. If I'm a top-tier sound engineer working on blockbuster movies or albums, I'm already set up with the proprietary tools, the licenses, just part of doing business at that level. Why would I switch? Why abandon a system I know, even if this new thing is free? Isn't there value in the established ecosystem?
That's a fair point. For the absolute high end, the established workflows are sticky. But think about the scale Eclipsa is aiming for, and the cost of mixing.
Go on.
The open source nature means the tools themselves become accessible. Your sources mention this specifically. The reference IAMF renderer, the creation tools, they're called IAV tools. They're up on GitHub, available now.
Okay, so the basic tools are out there.
Right. But think broader. Think about smaller studios, independent musicians, post-production houses, maybe even serious YouTube creators.
Yeah.
Previously, getting set up to mix in a proprietary immersive format could mean serious upfront costs. Software licenses, maybe specific hardware.
Significant investment.
Definitely. Now, Google and Samsung announced they're releasing a free plugin for Avid Pro Tools. That's the industry standard software for professional audio.
A free plugin for Pro Tools. When's that due?
Sources say spring 2025. That's potentially game-changing.
That's it.
It means you're giving potentially every Pro Tools user, from the big studios down to the bedroom producers, a professional-grade toolset for spatial audio mixing at zero cost. That drastically lowers the barrier for creating content in this new format.
You're essentially giving away the engine needed to produce the fuel.
Precisely. And content is king, right? If you make it easy and free to create Eclipsa content, you solve the chicken and egg problem much faster. Hashtag the showdown Eclipsa versus Dolby Atmos.
Okay, let's be direct. The sources don't mince words. Eclipsa is being positioned squarely as a competitor to the big incumbent, Dolby Atmos.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's a direct challenge.
So let's frame this as a head-to-head. What are the similarities, technologically, and then crucially, what are the differences? Because it seems like this fight is really about the business models as much as the tech.
Technologically, they're playing in the same ballpark. Both are about object-based 3D immersive audio, placing sounds precisely in space.
Right, the core function is similar.
Yeah. Both support sophisticated stuff like simulating how sound reflects off surfaces, moving sounds around dynamically, and both are designed to work whether you're listening on simple headphones.
Using binaural processing.
Exactly, binaural rendering for headphones.
Yeah.
Or if you have a fancy multi-speaker set up at home, they can handle that too. So technically, similar goals.
Okay, but the difference is, that's where the real battle lines are drawn, isn't it?
Absolutely. And the number one difference, the one we keep coming back to, is licensing.
Proprietary versus open. Toll road versus public highway.
You got it. Eclipsa.open source, royalty-free, at most proprietary, involves license fees for manufacturers and potentially for tools or content creation distribution. That's the fundamental divide.
Which leads to accessibility, right?
Right. Eclipsa's whole strategy seems geared towards mass adoption by removing that cost barrier. It's designed to make immersive audio common, not just premium. That's why the focus on mobile and web is so key. It's about volume.
Okay, so Atmos has the premium end, maybe the Hollywood blockbusters, the established streaming deals.
For now, yes. They have a mature ecosystem, especially in home theater and cinema.
But Eclipsa is aiming for, well, everything else. The sheer bulk of content consumed daily.
That seems to be the play. Democratize it. Make it the default for the platforms people use most.
Which brings up a challenge for Eclipsa, though. Atmos has been around for years. It's already in tons of TVs, soundbars, streaming services. Isn't Eclipsa playing catch-up? How do they overcome that head start, that market maturity?
That's the key question, isn't it? Market maturity and content library. Eclipsa is the newcomer. There's way less content mixed in Eclipsa right now compared to Atmos. That's undeniable.
So a big hurdle.
It is. But Eclipsa might not need to compete purely on content quantity, at least not initially. It competes on platform volume.
Explain that.
This is where that Google and Samsung partnership becomes, well, potentially a wrecking ball. The killer advantage Eclipsa has, and your sources hammer this home. Native, cost-free support built into platforms with billions of users.
You mean Android and Chrome?
Android, Chrome, and the massive one, YouTube.
If YouTube supports Eclipsa uploads.
And every Android phone can play it back natively, without extra fees or apps. And Chrome browsers can handle it. Suddenly, the potential reach is astronomical, almost overnight.
So it's less about winning over existing premium users immediately, and more about becoming the default standard for the next billion users and the vast majority of online content.
That looks like the strategy. You don't necessarily fight for the existing high-end niche. You make yourself indispensable for the mainstream internet. The volume play. Hashtag the rollout, when you will hear it.
Okay, so this sounds like a really aggressive strategy. How fast is this actually happening? What's the rollout timeline look like according to your sources?
Right.
When will people actually start hearing Eclipsa?
Yeah, the timeline is ambitious. It really shows they want to lock this in quickly.
Right.
We can kind of break it down into phases based on the dates in your sources.
Lay it out for us.
Okay, phase 1 is the hardware push. That started right away. Samsung launched their 2025 TVs and soundbars with Eclipsa built in, available Q1, Q2 of 2025.
So getting devices into living rooms early.
Exactly, establish that beachhead. Then, later in 2025, especially after that TTA certification gets going, we expect to see wider adoption. Other manufacturers starting to release Eclipsa-enabled TVs and soundbars, building the hardware base.
Makes sense. Phase 2?
Phase 2 is about content creation, getting the fuel for the engine. The big news here is YouTube.
Right, you mentioned that.
YouTube confirmed support. They'll allow creators to upload videos with Eclipsa audio tracks sometime in 2025.
Sometime in 2025.
Right.
So, fairly soon. What does that mean practically?
It means potentially a massive flood of Eclipsa content hitting the world's biggest video platform. Music videos, vlogs, game streams, educational stuff, everything. Suddenly, there's a reason for people to want Eclipsa playback.
Creates demand by enabling supply. Okay, what's phase 3?
Phase 3 is the platform lock-in. This is maybe the most impactful step. It's about integrating Eclipsa directly into the operating systems and browsers people use every day.
Android and Chrome again.
Yep. The sources specifically say Chrome and Android support is slated for the end of 2025, end of this year.
Wow. Okay, so let's piece that together. January 2025, it's announced. Q1, Q2, the first devices hit shelves. Sometime mid-year, YouTube creators can start uploading. End of year, it's potentially built into Android phones and Chrome browsers.
That's the plan.
So for you, the listener, what this means is that within just 1 year, Eclipsa goes from basically zero to being potentially integrated across major hardware, the biggest video platform, and the dominant mobile OS and web browser.
It's incredibly fast.
This isn't like a slow, gradual tech shift. This feels like a concerted push to make it unavoidable, a forced market adoption almost.
It's certainly a very aggressive market entry strategy driven by that open, royalty-free model. Hashtag tag outro. So yeah, to kind of wrap up the core insight here, Eclipsa is a really big deal. It's a major challenge built on open standards, aimed squarely at the way proprietary formats have traditionally dominated high-quality audio. It's fundamentally a battle over access, cost, and control in digital media, pushing for high-quality spatial sound that's, well, accessible to everyone, powered by open tech and incredible scale.
It really is. Yeah. And it leads us back to that final thought, that provocative question about cost, doesn't it? If this royalty-free, high-quality standard Eclipsa becomes the default, the free built-in option for behemoths like YouTube, Android, Chrome, platforms optimized for mobile and web, what does that actually do to the business case for paying ongoing license fees for other formats, especially for content that isn't, a massive Hollywood blockbuster? Is the whole cost structure of creating professional content about to fundamentally change? Could we see a future where those expensive licenses are only justifiable for the absolute peak, maybe cinematic experiences, while the vast, vast majority of music videos, podcasts, games just defaults to the free open standard?
It definitely forces you to question the long-term value proposition of proprietary lock-in versus open accessibility.
A potentially seismic shift indeed. It's something to keep a close eye on.